The river moves slowly in the early morning. Along its banks, dense growths of horsetail and primitive flowering plants hang low over the water, trailing their edges in the current. The air above the surface is cool and thick with moisture, and the light, coming in at a low angle through the trees, breaks into long pale shafts that reach down into the shallows and illuminate the sandy bed below. North Africa. The Middle Cretaceous. Approximately 95 million years ago. And in the center of the river, almost motionless, a shape that does not belong to the water and yet is entirely at home in it. The animal is enormous, over 14 meters from snout to tail, weighing somewhere in the region of 7 to 10 tons. It stands in water that reaches its lower flanks, and it holds itself absolutely still, only the slow, steady movement of its ribcage marking the fact that it is alive. Above its back, the tall neural spines rise in a long arc, catching the first warmth of the morning sun. This river is not simply where it feeds. It is where it lives. And it does not share it willingly. The relationship between Spinosaurus and water is one of the most remarkable adaptations documented in the theropod fossil record. Scientists believe it was not merely a capable swimmer but an animal whose entire biology was organized around an aquatic or semi-aquatic existence. Its nostrils were positioned high on its skull, allowing it to breathe while most of its head remained submerged. Its dense, compact bones, unusual for a large theropod, provided the ballast necessary to remain submerged without excessive effort. And its hind limbs, shorter and more laterally positioned than those of its terrestrial relatives, suggest an animal more comfortable in water than on dry ground. It is thought that it moved through deep water using an undulating motion of its long, paddle-like tail, in a manner not entirely unlike that of a modern crocodile. On land, by contrast, it was less assured. Its center of gravity placed it at a disadvantage on hard, uneven terrain, and its stride would have appeared labored compared to the fluid ease of its movement in the river. But in the water, it is a different animal entirely. Its jaws are long and narrow, lined with conical, interlocking teeth that curve slightly inward, a design optimized not for crushing bone but for seizing and holding prey that moves fast and unpredictably. Fish, primarily. The rivers of Cretaceous North Africa carried species of enormous size, the giant coelacanth relative Mawsonia, and the colossal sawfish Onchopristis, whose serrated rostral spines have been found preserved alongside Spinosaurus teeth, suggesting direct predatory interaction. Evidence from isotope analysis of Spinosaurus bones supports a diet dominated by aquatic prey, placing this animal firmly within a food web centered entirely on the river. It feeds early and late, when the light is low and the large fish move into the shallows. During the heat of the day, it rests, partly submerged, conserving energy in the coolness of the water. Its metabolism, like that of many large reptiles, is exquisitely sensitive to the demands of its environment. Every calorie spent must be earned. Which is why what lies at the edges of this territory matters so much. A river system of this size can support only so many large predators. The Spinosaurus has claimed the most productive stretch of this waterway, a deep bend where the current slows and the fish gather in numbers, where the banks provide the cover necessary for an ambush to succeed. It has held this area for some time. The signs are visible to any animal that reads the landscape. Territorial scent markings along the bank. Trampled vegetation at the entry points to the shallows. The bones of previous meals scattered in the mud, half submerged, already colonized by insects. But territory is not permanent. It is only as secure as the ability to defend it. In recent days, there have been signs. Deep, three-toed tracks in the soft mud of the eastern bank, tracks that are not its own. Something has been moving along the river's edge, testing the boundary, reading the signals left there, leaving its own in return. The prints are broad and heavily impressed, the stride long. Whatever made them was not small. It is not thought that large predators seek conflict as a default response to competition. The energetic cost of serious injury is too high. An animal that cannot hunt cannot eat, and an animal that cannot eat in an environment as demanding as this one does not survive long. Caution, in most encounters between large carnivores, is the rule. Distance is maintained. Signals are exchanged. Decisions are made without direct contact wherever possible. But there are limits to avoidance. And those limits are, above all, defined by food. It appears from the south, moving through the open ground beyond the tree line, a Carcharodontosaurus, one of the largest terrestrial predators in this ecosystem. It is a different kind of animal in almost every respect. Where Spinosaurus is built around patience and water, Carcharodontosaurus is built around force and land. Its skull is deep and heavily reinforced, its teeth blade-like and serrated, designed not for gripping slippery fish but for shearing through the muscle and hide of the large sauropods that move in herds across the open plains to the south. It is not a fish eater. The river is not its home. But it is here. And scientists suggest that large theropods, when food pressure increases, will move outside their preferred range, following the scent of carrion, investigating unfamiliar territory, testing the boundaries of ecosystems they do not typically occupy. This animal has most likely caught the scent of the river's edge on the wind. Carrion, perhaps. Or the smell of fish. Or simply the accumulated olfactory record of another large predator's consistent presence, which, to an animal like this, registers as both a warning and an invitation to assess. It stops at the tree line. It is perhaps 60 meters from the water. The Spinosaurus has not moved. But it has seen. Its eyes, positioned on the sides of its long skull and offering a wide field of view, have tracked the other animal since it first appeared. Its body remains still. This stillness is not passivity. It is a choice. For a long moment, neither animal moves. The river continues its quiet passage between them. Insects hover above the surface. A bird calls once, distantly, and is silent. What follows is not a charge. It does not begin with speed or sound. It begins with weight. The Spinosaurus moves out of the water slowly, deliberately, its body rising from the surface with the measured quality of something that has decided. Its full height becomes visible as it reaches the shallower margins, and then the bank itself, the enormous neural spines, the long horizontal body, the head held low and forward. It is making itself visible. This is communicative behavior, scientists believe, in the same way that a raised sail fin in many modern lizards carries territorial meaning. The message is spatial and physical. This is the size of what you are dealing with. This is what holds this ground. The Carcharodontosaurus does not retreat. But it does not advance either. It shifts its weight, its own head lowering slightly, its tail moving once in a slow arc. These are not the movements of an animal preparing to charge. They are the movements of an animal recalculating. The Spinosaurus continues forward, shortening the distance between them in slow, even strides. At 30 meters, it stops. Its head is raised now, the long jaws slightly open, the deep hiss that escapes carrying across the flat ground between them as much vibration as sound. Evidence suggests that large theropods were capable of producing infrasonic or low-frequency vocalizations, sounds felt as much as heard, that communicate size and metabolic condition to rivals without requiring direct contact. The Carcharodontosaurus responds. Its own vocalization is lower, more percussive, a sound that originates deep in the chest. For several seconds, the two animals hold their positions, trading frequencies across a distance that neither has yet chosen to close. Then the Carcharodontosaurus takes 3 steps forward. The Spinosaurus moves fast. Not with the full momentum of an attack, but fast enough, closing the remaining distance in a burst that puts it within range, its jaws sweeping laterally in a wide, powerful strike aimed at the other animal's neck and shoulder. The contact is glancing. The Carcharodontosaurus turns hard, the movement more of a flinch than a counter, its own jaws snapping at the air to the side of the Spinosaurus's skull without connecting. They separate. Both animals are breathing hard now, their sides moving in rapid, visible cycles. The confrontation has lasted perhaps 12 seconds. Neither is seriously hurt. This, scientists believe, is the most common outcome of encounters between large predators of comparable size. The objective was never to kill. It was to establish, with the minimum force necessary, which animal holds the ground. The Carcharodontosaurus turns, not quickly, but with a finality of movement that carries its own meaning. It walks back toward the tree line. It does not look back. The Spinosaurus stands at the edge of the bank for some time after the other animal has gone. Its breathing slows. The tension in its posture releases gradually, the way weather passes, not all at once, but in stages. It has not escaped the encounter without cost. A deep graze along its left flank, where the other animal's teeth made partial contact, will need time. Whether it becomes infected, whether it impairs the hunting that must resume tonight, is uncertain. It has spent energy it cannot immediately replace. And the calories burned in those 12 seconds of confrontation must be recovered from the river, which offers no guarantees. It re-enters the water without ceremony. Its body lowers beneath the surface until only the long spine of its back remains visible, and then it is still again, and the river moves around it, and the morning light shifts across the water in slow, indifferent patterns. Territorial dominance, in any ecosystem, is never a permanent state. It is a balance, maintained daily through the expenditure of energy and the willingness to contest what cannot simply be abandoned. For an animal as specialized as this one, tied to a specific type of habitat, dependent on a food source that is itself bound to a single river system, the territory is not a preference. It is a necessity. There is no equivalent stretch of water waiting elsewhere. What is held here must be held, or it must be lost. Scientists believe that the rivers of Cretaceous North Africa were among the most productive freshwater ecosystems in the planet's history, rich, complex, and intensely competitive. The animals that occupied them were not there by accident. They were there because their bodies had been shaped, over millions of years, to fit exactly this place. To fit it, and to fight for it. The sail breaks the surface of the water. The river moves on. And somewhere to the south, moving back across the open plain toward more familiar ground, the Carcharodontosaurus carries its own account of the morning with it. Neither animal will forget what the other smells like. And the river, as always, remembers nothing at all.